Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Needham and Wellesley neighbors and other guests. Thanks for joining us for Olin's third annual Connecting Communities event. My name is Jeremy Goodman. I'm the head of Olin's operations team. I've been with the college for a little over 10 years now, and one of the things that has always struck me is the high level of respect between Olin and the surrounding communities. So I'm excited that you're all able to join us this evening. So before we introduce President Barabino and some of our other colleagues, I'd like to welcome Needham resident and Massachusetts State Senator Becca Rausch. As many of you know, Senator Rausch was elected to the Massachusetts legislature in 2018. She is the third woman, the second Democrat, and the first Jewish person to represent the Norfolk, Bristol, and Middlesex district in the Senate. Reflecting her commitment to social justice, fairness, and equality for all, Senator Rausch's legislative priorities include election reform, reproductive justice, infectious disease prevention, and combating climate change, to name just a few. In her first term, she successfully advanced standalone bills and several amendments in each of these policy areas. She won re-election last November in a closely watched race, and Senator Rausch lives in Needham with her spouse, their two young children, and their floppy golden doodle. We are delighted to have her back here with us tonight. Welcome, Senator Rausch.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be with all of you this evening, and such an honor to join you as we come together for it's hard to believe, but the third of these series of community conversations. And it is such a true honor and privilege to represent this wonderful town in our state Senate. And part of the reason that I'm so proud to live in Needham is because of our collective proven dedication to supporting and engaging young people, particularly in supporting them in their academic and other pursuits. And our community's partnership with Olin College really reaffirms that commitment. Olin's commitment, particularly to providing impact-centered education programs that go really above and beyond, not just educating our community, but really preparing students to make long-lasting, impactful, and authentic change, both here in our community in Needham and beyond throughout the Commonwealth and the country and the world. And so I'm so excited that we're here tonight to talk about climate action and sustainability. Right, there's work being done here on Needham's first solar carport, and renewable energy harvesting is such a important pieces of this push for climate action. We in the legislature voted to pass not one, but two pretty significant climate action bills last session. And I was very proud to serve as the Senate chair of the Joint Committee on the Environment, Natural Resources, and Agriculture. We're now at the beginning of our current term, the 193rd legislative session, with many strong accomplishments behind us and many more pieces of work to do, including legislation on plastic reduction and setting emissions standards for large buildings, electrifying our school buses, and more waterways improvements and water clarification. And so it's just a real joy and privilege to be able to partner with all of you in this work, and particularly to partner with such innovative, bright young people who are the ones leading innovative ideas and driving new technologies, tackling crucial issues like climate action and environmental resiliency, infrastructure development, social inequity, and so much more. So I am just really, again, thrilled to be here. So glad to be in this work with you and to be in this Zoom tonight with everyone. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me and my team. We are here to help. And again, thank you so much for having me. And it is such a great asset to our community to have Olin College right here at home, around the corner, and in our neighborhood. Thank you again, and I look forward to tonight's presentation.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Rausch. We're thrilled that you're here with us and that you're engaged in this important work with us. Yeah. I'd also like to welcome a longtime Needham resident and longtime friend of Olin, Massachusetts State Representative Denise Garlick. Representative Garlick participated in President Barabino's inauguration this past May. We're truly grateful to have her on stage for that singular event, and we're grateful she's back with us tonight. Denise Garlick has spent her entire career dedicated to public service and advocating for the rights of others. She was elected to the House of Representatives in 2010, representing the 13th Norfolk District. Before serving in state government, Representative Garlick sought to effect change in her community as a member of Needham's Board of Selectmen, as chair of the Needham Board of Health, and as a Needham Town Meeting member. As a select person, Representative Garlick was instrumental in ensuring the restoration of the Great Hall and the Needham Town Hall. In 2006, she founded and chaired the Needham Coalition for Suicide Prevention, which continues its work today and serves as a model for communities across the United States. Representative Garlick and her husband, Russell, are longtime residents of Needham and are the proud parents of 4 young adults. So welcome to you, Representative Garlick. Oh, I think you might be on mute, Representative.
I am. Imagine a politician on mute. Imagine that. So I want to thank you, Jeremy, for the warm introduction. And I join with my legislative partner, Senator Rausch. It is quite amazing that the entire legislative delegation is from the hometown of Needham. I would say that, Jeremy, I would ask you to add to my bio the fact that I believe that I am one of the official introducers of President Barabino. And in fact, rushed straight to Olin College from the State House this evening in hopes that I would see you in person before I read my notes to know that we were virtual. I welcome this community conversation. I welcome the thoughtfulness that you are doing this virtually. And I just want to add to the Senator's comments that I am grateful that Olin is such a good friend and neighbor to the town of Needham and to the surrounding communities. And there are very clear examples for me about Olin's strong commitment, certainly with our older adults and the work that has been done around older adults and the innovative engineering, certainly with the Charles River Center, which serves the moderately severely individuals with developmental disabilities, and the students' active engagement with those individuals. I'm so deeply grateful that Olin is here. I look forward to helping you in all of your work. And it is an honor for me to once again introduce you, President Barabino. Excuse me. You are the second president of Olin College, a professor of biomedical and chemical engineering. I know that you are a pioneering educator and academic thought leader who has dedicated your career to making positive social impact through biomedical engineering research and diversity and equity policy in STEM. I want you to know at the time of your inauguration that of the many, many people inspired by your presentation, please count me among them, because it was such a warm and wonderful and exciting and innovative inauguration process that you shared with all of us. I know as well that you are the president of AAAS, which is the American Association for the Advancement of Science, which is the largest organization in the world tasked with promoting science. As a woman who's in love with a scientist, I appreciate all of your work, but more importantly, as a woman who believes in the future of our Commonwealth, our country, and our world, and knowing the great need we have for people dedicated to science and the way they will positively impact all of our environment and all of our world. I thank you for everything you're doing, guiding these incredible students into the future.
Well, Representative Garlick, thank you for yet another very kind introduction. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
So, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 3rd annual Connecting Communities event. I want to thank Senator Rausch and Representative Garlick for being such good friends to Olin. We appreciate you spending time with us tonight. I want to welcome our neighbors, community members, and all the friends of Olin who are with us tonight. Many of you know Olin's history by now, but for those of you who are new to Needham or to Olin, I want to share a little background. Olin is a young institution. Our first students enrolled in 2002, and we graduated our first class in 2006. We have 1,400 alumni and 350 students on campus. A big feature of Olin is our interdisciplinary curriculum. We think of Olin almost as a liberal arts engineering education. We are gender balanced by design, and we are working on increasing diversity in other dimensions, particularly underrepresented students of color. From the outset, we have focused on developing students' sense of purpose in life, as well as technical expertise. In our curriculum and our culture, we provide opportunities for students to consider who they are and what they want to do in the world. It must be working because we are currently ranked number 2 in the country for engineering education by the US News and World Report. And while we're young, we are looking ahead to the future. Last year, we adopted a new strategic plan with a vision of engineering for everyone. And what do we mean by that? Engineering education needs to be for everyone, including those systematically excluded from STEM. Engineering for everyone also means that engineering as a profession must serve everyone. We need to go beyond a disciplinary perspective of engineering. Engineers need to work across disciplinary boundaries to ask not only how might we build it, but also why are we building it? Who else is impacted? And should we build it at all? One of the initiatives tied to our strategic plan is sustainability, and that will be our focus tonight. The projects you will hear about tonight are all based on what we call impact-centered learning opportunities. Those afford our students real-world experience while they are going to college. We will share with you what we're doing on the Olin campus to make the operations of the college better for the environment. And we will share details on the renewable energy harvesting experiments a team of faculty and students are working on. So one final note before I turn things back over to Jeremy. I will be speaking at the Needham Library on Sunday, February 5th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. as a guest of the Friends of the Needham Library. The library is one of Needham's treasures, and if your schedule allows, please join me on the 5th. So once again, thank you all for coming tonight. Olin is truly fortunate to be your neighbor. Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Gilda. Now, we've got 2 presentations that my colleagues will share with you this evening. And we ask that you hold any questions about both those presentations until they're complete. So you might want to jot down those key thoughts, those key questions for that Q&A session towards the end tonight. And so part of Olin's new strategic plan is a commitment to developing a climate action plan. This process is well underway, and it's being led by my colleague Claire Rogers, who is Olin's Associate Director of Sustainability and Campus Engineering. Claire has also been hard at work leading one of our first major climate action projects with a group of students, faculty, and staff. Olin plans to develop a solar carport project over the largest parking lot on our campus, which we believe will be the first of its kind in Needham. We see this project as a key step in making Olin more sustainable, but also contributes beyond Olin. It contributes to the goals of the climate action plan that Needham is developing, and along with the plan that has been developed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I should mention that as part of Olin's commitment to the Needham community, Claire has been serving on Needham's Net Zero Buildings Working Group. And Claire is also being joined by Paul Riley from ENGIE, the partner Olin has selected to help us move forward with this project. So Claire, please take it away.
Thank you, Jeremy. So I just wanted to start by giving a high-level overview of our process and highlight where the Olin community has really shaped the direction and outcome of our project. So this current solar initiative started back in the summer of 2019. I had 2 students working with me over the summer, and they really wanted to look at where could Olin improve in terms of climate and carbon emissions. And they spent the summer looking at a variety of different technologies and ultimately came up with that solar would be the best place to start. That jump-started a process that the Sustainability Steering Committee worked on. And we worked with an amazing solar consultant, Sage Energy Consulting, and they really helped us figure out the next steps and present to the Board of Trustees on this exciting project. As we were getting approval, we continued to work with the Olin community to understand where they would like to interact with this project and different opportunities. Jeremy and I really didn't want the solar project to just be an operational project. We were really interested in how it could connect to the curriculum and the student experience. From there, we crafted a request for proposal, taking into account the community input, and are now at the current spot where we have chosen a partner, NG, who you'll hear more from later. So just diving into a little bit of our conversations with the community, we held various events and discussions, and it really surfaced that things that were really important were looking at the solar company's commitment to environmental and social responsibility throughout their operations and how they can conduct business. The aesthetics of the design of the solar canopy. So since this structure will be new and be with us for 25 plus years, it was really important to the Olin community that it fit on campus and looked nice. And lastly, that people were really passionate about tying the solar project into the curriculum and student experience. So we took all of those, and those were 3 criteria that we incorporated in the request for proposal and used to evaluate the solar companies that submitted proposals, as well as all of the typical criteria that you can see on the right about net present value savings, financial strength of the company, and qualifications. So we collectively used the criteria from the community as well as these other traditional criteria to evaluate the companies. So ultimately, the solar team, which was a combination of faculty, staff, students, and an Olin alum, selected NG based on those criteria that we mentioned. We really felt that NG aligned with Olin's new vision and strategic plan on centering and impact-centered education. NG was really excited and open to talking about educational opportunities and had a lot of great ideas in the space. And the solar team really felt that they really wanted to work with us instead of having a transactional relationship where they simply just build the solar project. So we're really excited to be working with them on this. And now I'm going to hand it over to Paul from NG. I think you're muted, Paul.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Claire, Jeremy, President Barabino. We just wanted to thank Olin College for selecting us as its partner and for allowing NG to share a little bit about us and what we do, as we will be partnering with the college and ultimately becoming a new neighbor for the folks there in Needham. NG North America is a subsidiary of NG Global with close to 170,000 employees worldwide across 5 continents. So a big energy company based in France and operates close to 30 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity. But for NG North America, the division that I work in here in the US, we're proud to be global, but work local with over 11 gigawatts of projects in North America. And as one of the top 5 developers and operators in North America, NG leverages its balance sheet to finance and operate all those projects and share that low cost of capital with each and every customer that we do projects with. So for projects like Olin's, we're excited to be able to provide our internal resources in design and build and procurement, purchasing power, project finance, as I mentioned, contracts and operations, but also the educational programming that we love to do with our partners. And with customers like Olin College, they can take advantage of NG's deep experience, not only with solar projects and storage projects that we've had with the hundreds of schools and institutions and campuses that we work with here in the US, but also opportunities for their students and their faculty to take advantage of renewable energy programs, grants, and projects that they can be a part of. So thanks to Olin for selecting us, and we look forward to making this a reality and building what should be one of the first, but the best carport in Needham.
Thanks, Paul.
Sure.
So just want to give a little bit of context. So as Jeremy mentioned, Olin is currently creating a climate action plan as part of the new strategic plan. And the solar project will be one of the elements of that climate action plan, where we're really looking at the cross-section of operations, education, and governance, and how do we really make change at Olin in all of those spaces. And we recognize that we sit within Needham, which is also in the process of creating a climate action plan. And we want to make sure that we can help Needham meet their goals, and that Needham sits within Massachusetts, which has a decarbonization plan as well. So really looking to Needham and the state to make sure that we're supporting their goals as well as we're working on our own. We want to give context of where this will be in terms of the community. So from a high level picture, Olin is marked by the red circle, and the parking lot that we're looking to construct solar is marked in red. And I will zoom in. So this is a close-up of the parking lot. So we're looking at putting solar canopies over the first 5 tiers. And we're currently in the process of working with the Town of Needham on securing the necessary permitting and approvals, and are really grateful for their partnership and working through all of those processes. And lastly, I just really wanted to thank, there's been a huge team of people, both within the Olin community, alums, people in the Needham community, that have really helped us get to this point in the solar project. And I'm very thankful for all of them. And Linda Vanasup, who you'll be hearing from in the next presentation, was also a member of the solar team as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Claire and Paul. Yeah, this project is really exciting, and I can't wait to see it go up. Yeah, so as Claire mentioned, our next speaker has been part of that project, but has also been working on some amazing stuff of their own. So now we'll be hearing from Linda Vanasup, who about Just Energy at Olin. Linda joined Olin a few years ago as a professor of materials engineering after over 2 decades at California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo in California. And what really strikes me is that Claire just told us about what's really an operations project at Olin that also creates real meaningful opportunities for learning within our curriculum. Linda's going to share with us the Just Energy course that they developed this year as an academic project that may create real new opportunities on the operations side of things. And I should add that a grant from VentureWell is aiding in the development and offering of this course. And Linda, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Somebody's symbol, can you hear me? Okay, good. I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you in a minute, but I'll tell you that I'm part of a larger team that is crossing, faculty, staff, boundaries in order to bring this vision to life. And so one of my partners here, along with Claire Rogers and Chavi Genka, a new faculty member, is also here. And I think Katie Rollauer. Anyway, several of us are here, and we're glad to be here. And let me see if I can share my screen here. I really should be good at this, but whoops. Hold on a sec here. Lost y'all. Here we go. Okay, as Jeremy said, and I'm hoping you can see a blue screen. I hope.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. The group of us are working on something that we call the Just Energy Hub. We're looking to the future and really looking to seed a regenerative way of life. And we're really drawing from the Climate Justice Alliance framework in our vision of what we're calling this Just Energy Hub. And here's our bigger team here, but we have also had a team of folks from folks who have graduated, and as well as students to help us to kind of think through what we're doing with this hub. And I'll just kind of start by saying that, I'm going to take a big sort of global picture and then kind of scope it all the way, zoom all the way down into Olin, because we are thinking at different scales. What is our impact in the world, as President Barabino said? And we're wanting to bring forth a world where all 8 billion of us on the planet can thrive together, and really thinking through what needs to happen in order for that to be a reality. And as you know, we live in an engineered world, so that our well-being really depends on our access to energy. And in the US, it's really our access to energy is, we really rely on a non-human scale access. What I mean by that is I think about even myself. Today I schlepped 4,000 pounds of metal 16 miles just to be with you right now. And the only way I could do this is I was using this contained explosion called a car. And you know, many of you may have been thinking about this as well, is just that our ability to do this has had real consequences. And as we look at the global picture, we know that, you know, back in terms of how this developed, we had this, you know, from the industrial era, many of these sort of global north nations were able to, you know, tap into these fossil fuels and just run with it. And largely a lot of our ability to do that was also came with exporting the harm of accessing this energy really to these other nations. So these gray nations that you see right here are the nations that are considered part of this industrialized bloc, and the light gray nations, the global south, largely Africa and Asia and the island nations. These are the countries that largely have borne the cost of our access to this energy. And so in the US, it turns out that this global pattern is pretty much repeated with our communities of color or disenfranchised economically communities. They bear the cost of the harm of our access to these fossil fuels. So at Olin, we were thinking about this and thinking that the transition to renewable energy is inevitable, but justice isn't inevitable. And our question is, how do we go through a just transition? And what we are thinking about is this idea of designing towards energy sovereignty for folks that are energy insecure. And this is something of a global scale. And what you're seeing here, by the way, is it looks kind of like an accident waiting to happen, but it's in fact a vertical vertical axis wind turbine that was donated to Olin by this very generous couple, the Haars, who you see here. They designed the system to be placed in an urban setting on the top of buildings, and we saw this donation as an opportunity to ask ourselves, can we repurpose this for energy sovereignty for remote communities, many of them in indigenous nations, maybe even farmers that turn instead to diesel generators to get access to energy because they don't have access to clean energy. And as you know, the diesel generators have these harmful health effects, as well as harmful in the global greenhouse gas respect. So we are asking ourselves, you know, how can we repurpose this for a future where there's just energy? And so we decided to run a class that, and I'm trying to, here we go. It looks like an embryo right now. So it's small, but the turbine actually showed up in a crate. It's not set up because our first step as a class, and this was a co-learning activity, is we asked what would it take to design for a just transition. And the first thing we did is begin asking questions like, you know, what would it take to design for justice, design for safety, and also design for sustainability. So these were our key themes that we that we undertook and tried to pursue in our class. Actually, we did pursue them, and the students, they just came up with really wonderful results. And one of the things that I'm just going to stop the share for a second. One of the things that we're looking at is the next generation manufacturing, looking at shifting from things like this, which is a carbon fiber reinforced composite. This happened, they made a sort of a scaled version of the airfoil, to a wood version where we're looking at more sustainable materials. So we're looking into that, and also really acknowledging, you might know that Olin property is on unceded lands of, I think, more than one indigenous tribe. And we have begun to consider, how do we create partnerships so that we might sort of co-explore the possibility of these microgrids for energy sovereignty for folks that are currently energy insecure. So we're well on our way, and my colleague Chubby has really been effortful in sort of reaching out to the indigenous representatives. We're trying to create relationships and ask, is there a partnership here that we might be able to serve together for their well-being, as well as ours in using our knowledge for good. I'm not sure if I turned off my microphone. Anyway, so we are at our, oops, I'm gonna share one more. I'm trying to share my screen with you one more time. Oh, I think this, okay, here we go. We are really at the beginning of our journey here, and you could see one of the things that we have been doing is just learning about wind in the Massachusetts area, and so we've set up monitoring station. But this is so we imagine this is a several year exploration, and we're grateful to get to do it in this lovely area. So I'm going to go ahead and stop talking and stop sharing my screen. And I'll turn it back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Linda. I think this project sounds so interesting and so exciting. And really hearing about both of these projects, we hope that you can all see how much opportunity there is for Olin to be a true living lab for learning and working. Yeah. So I promised there would be an opportunity for questions about these amazing projects, and that opportunity is here. So I invite you to all share your thoughts and questions. And while we're certainly hoping to field questions you have about what you've heard this evening, we're also happy to answer any other questions about Olin that you may have. Yeah, my colleague Anne-Marie is monitoring the chat, so you're welcome to raise questions by typing them into the chat box, or you can also use Zoom's raise hand function if you'd like to be called on to ask your question verbally. We'll get to as many questions as our time permits. I'm going to start with one that was messaged to me. This is from Alan Sherman. So it's a question for Claire. So Claire, the solar project is very exciting. How many kilowatts will it be? Can you talk about whether Olin will use all of the energy generated, or if there are plans to sell any excess energy generated back to the utility, or perhaps make it available to community members for purchase?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. We're looking at the solar project to be about 490 kW, specifically under 500 kW for purposes of interconnection. And it'll serve about 20% of Olin's electric load. So we will be connected to the grid, and we could export back, but we most likely will not have any additional energy to be exporting back.
Thank you, Claire. So we're getting a few questions in the chat. Again, I'm Anne-Marie. I'm ready to take your questions, and we'll get them answered for you. So put them in the chat or raise the hand function. So can Linda say more about the vertical turbine, or JEH? Is it a beta or a commercial product?
Thanks, Ken, for asking that. We have the only existing product, but I will say that it was field tested for 10 years. So we do know it works. But yeah, it is the one unique design that we have. We are repurposing it though, so we're having to do a great deal of redesign. I hope that helped.
How many students in general are working on these particular projects? So Claire, maybe you can just share a little bit about how many students you expect to be working on the carport project. And Linda, I know you have a team of students working with you, so then maybe jump in with that.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. As far as the solar project up until this point, which the project's been going on for about 4 years. In that 4 years, we've had a variety of about 20 students at different parts of the project, from the beginning part of the work that the interns did to different students throughout the process, and students on the evaluation team as well. In the future, when the project is being built, and then after that, we're hoping to have students involved in classes, so looking at some of the data that comes out of the solar project, possibly doing internships with NG, possibly visiting NG's research centers, possibly looking at capstone projects with NG. So I think we're hoping for a pretty wide variety of student engagement and opportunities once it's constructed as well.
Yeah, I'll just add, we've had about 30 students to date, and we've had 2 alumni as well. And we also have, we're trying to expand into kind of a ecosystem model of partnership. So we've just got the commitment of 4 students from Cal Poly, my old school, who are doing a senior project to do a manufacturing and market study to look at what that profile might be. And they're doing that for a year. So we're glad to be growing these partnerships beyond the boundaries of Olin as well.
So we have a couple questions in the chat. One of them is your work as a team is fantastic. Well, thank you. It's not me. Can you help us understand why solar ended up coming out ahead of other strategies like geothermal energy?
Yeah, so in 2019, when we were looking at this, we thought solar would be one of the best things to do first. It wouldn't change how our central plant operates. So from a ease of adding the infrastructure to campus, we thought that would reduce some hurdles, and thought that solar would be one of the quickest and easiest things we can do. It has ended up being a longer process than I think we anticipated, but that was originally why we started with solar. Right now, the climate action team is looking at what is our long-term strategy for reducing on-site emissions. So that's where we're currently thinking about, is geothermal the next step for converting our central plant from natural gas to non-natural gas equipment. So that's definitely in the conversation now, but didn't seem feasible at the time in 2019 when we started solar.
But Claire and I really hope that, in a few years, we're doing this again, but telling you all about our exciting geothermal project.
Will the solar setup include a real-time live output monitor visible somewhere on campus?
Yes, we will have live data.
Okay, and how does the carport project fit into the Needham Climate Action Plan?
Contributing to solar in Massachusetts, and specifically greening the grid, so that hopefully we're contributing to our grid region, ISO New England, moving towards renewable energy, so that the energy we're all purchasing is greener. And that's in Needham's plan as well.
Perfect. And we have actually two questions that are funding related. And so one of them I'll throw to you, Jeremy. How is the solar project being funded? Is there a need for a capital campaign? And then there's a sort of a follow-up question. Are there opportunities to make donations to Olin specifically in support of these projects?
Oh, that's a great question. So it'll say with this particular project, we're working with ENGIE as sort of a long-term partnership where ENGIE will own the solar array and Olin will be purchasing the energy that it produces, which Claire would tell me it's much more complicated than that, and I'm saying it entirely wrong, but that's kind of the way that one works. Yeah. We would love to own it ourselves, but the fact of the matter is Olin is a very small place, and owning something like the solar array takes a lot of expertise, takes time to manage the entire thing. So we decided that really the partnership with ENGIE was the way to go on that. Yeah, happy to talk about that a little bit more if we need to. But what I would say is there's a lot that we do need to fund in the sustainability space. This is the tip of the iceberg. So I think folks that are interested in donating or in having conversations about donating for sustainability should reach out to Anne-Marie.
Can I add to Jeremy that there is a fund set up for the wind turbine project if people happen to be excited to donate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can field any and all questions about specific donations and where they should go.
We have a lot of exciting things we can do for your donations around sustainability. Do we have some more questions? And feel free to raise your hand too if you'd like to ask your question out loud.
Yeah.
This is, I have a question for Linda, if that's okay.
Yeah.
This is Paul.
Please.
I really like the project, Linda. Have you also looked at, I know that the version of the turbine that you showed us was somewhat cylindrical, but have you looked at cylindrical? I mean, I know there's a handful of different types of up and down turbines out there. ENGIE invests in the traditional large scale, utility scale types, but what are some of the other turbines that the students have been investigating for design purposes?
Yeah, we did a funny thing. Yes, there are different designs for vertical axis wind turbines, and we sort of opportunistically started with the very simple model that we were given, and we were asking ourselves, can we redesign from this engineered, validated design? Can we redesign some of the controls and some of the other mechanics to make this cost effective for an island microgrid so that remote communities can have access to this for energy sovereignty? So we were really starting with that design, since it went through a number of international sort of standards to get close to the certification stage. So we didn't exactly explore a lot of the other designs because it had a pretty good performance profile in its existing design.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Just couple of two quick follow-up questions, and then I think we'll probably be just about ready to go. When will the solar carport project be up and running? Jeremy and Claire, that's the $10,000 question, and that's my dog.
Claire, you're muted.
Oh.
We plan to start the day after commencement, so mid-May, and are hoping to have most of the steel construction done before students return in August, and probably won't have all the electronics and everything done until fall. So we probably won't actually be interconnected to the grid and producing power until the fall of 23.
And do you have any plans to collaborate with other groups on similar projects? And I sort of am taking an expansive view of this. So Jeremy or Gilda, if somebody wants to talk about, sort of expanding these kind of projects, going out into the community, whether they're solar sustainable or not.
I can certainly jump in from the operations team perspective. So Claire and I have been talking quite a bit about our desire to sort of take all the projects that we're moving forward and create partnerships where we can, and to really use this idea of impact-centered education to help our whole community learn.
I just want to echo what Jeremy was saying, because in our strategic plan and our focus on impact-centered education, and also our focus on being stronger partners with our community and expanding our oval, as we say it, it's about partnerships, and partnerships in our immediate community and the world more broadly. So this idea of expanding our footprint and our impact and how we engage with the rest of the world is really important to us. And this is one really great example.
Yeah, so before we get to other questions, I mean, Gilda, it's exactly right. And for those, most of the people on this Zoom probably know this, but, we have been doing these kind of things in one way or another in Needham and elsewhere for years. I mean, we've partnered with North Hill with some of our courses. We work with senior citizens at community centers. We have fourth graders come from local schools on a particular day to participate in one of our design nature courses. So there's a lot of ways that that Oliners, particularly students, but others, really spend a lot of time in the local community and communities beyond that. But we have a couple of other questions. So was there consideration to put solar on the buildings versus the car park?
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, in the beginning phases of the project, we conducted a feasibility study and looked at both the roofs and the parking lot. And a lot of our roofs, either in the phase of needing to be replaced or refinished. There's not elevators that go up to the roof. The roofs are rather skinny and long. So there's a couple different factors where the roofs did not look like the best option, which is why we were looking at the carport.
We also have a lot of equipment up on the roofs that run the buildings, and we would have had to do some extensive structural studies to make sure that the buildings could really support it. So this seemed like our better option. As Claire said, this is only going to meet part of our production. So over time, we may be interested in adding rooftop or other opportunities with solar as well.
Another question, and this one is for Linda. Any thoughts on long-term supply of rare earth materials for the turbines?
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. No, the answer is no, not yet. This is one of the reasons why we're looking to invite partnership with Cal Poly in terms of looking at the supply chain. So the manufacturing study will include a reflection and analysis of the supply chain for the whole unit as designed. So yeah, these are really great questions. And Anne-Marie, I hope you can see the one from Donna at Green Needham as well. Okay.
Just about to get to that. So Green Needham is very...
Sorry, I accidentally muted you. I'm sorry.
All right. Green Needham is very excited about this project. We've been researching solar canopies for a few years and have yet to find a location to place them. We hope to be able to do that in the next few years. Does NG work with towns on projects like this one? This is for NG.
Yeah, what I would say to that is absolutely. NG has done a lot of work throughout the US and towns, as well as cities and state locations and properties. And I think what you'll be looking for when you're looking for locations here in Massachusetts to take advantage of the SMART program and the benefits of incentives that we get here on solar projects is the area, the closeness to connectivity, as Claire mentioned, how much energy can you use from the system? So absolutely, we'd be happy to look at that for the town of Needham or any other property here in Needham.
We have one more question actually for you, Paul. Can Angie talk about the solar PV material surface? Is this one of the newer, highly efficient type of solar cells?
You know, it is. Am I still off mute? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And the team at Olin also made a point of doing some research and having us look at a handful of various material types. Basically, yes, it's the highest efficient that you'll get today. I think the last module we contemplated in the design was VSUN module. We take care to look at resourcing and labor that goes into the modules that we procure for our projects. That's something that's come up in the past. And just as far as the design of the modules themselves, you'll know that they are the extruded aluminum type metal wrapping what is ultimately glass and the solar wafers. So I hope that answers the question, and I'm happy to take more questions on modules. I also have my colleague Kristen Tarr here, who might be able to even bring up, if people want to really geek out, we can probably bring up a slide on the module, whatever you like.
So Paul, I'm not sure we're going to have time for that.
No geeking out, okay.
But if there is, I mean, certainly if there's interest, we'd be happy to host people for a follow-up conversation on this at another time. But I do want to be respectful of people's time, because I know that we had said that this was going to a specific time, and I think we're already a few minutes over that. So, but I do love the enthusiasm. I love the energy. I love the questions. Feel free to reach out to any of us to ask those questions. We'd be happy to talk with you. Yeah. I want to thank all our speakers tonight. Yeah, and I also want to thank all of you for attending this virtual event with us. I particularly want to thank State Representative Denise Garlick and State Senator Rebecca Rausch for being here and for their continued support of and friendship for Olin. Yeah, and thank you again all for joining us, because it was so great to have you here, particularly all our friends and neighbors from Needham and Wellesley who took time out of their evenings to join us. So on behalf of all of us here at Olin, we'd like to wish you a safe and healthy 2023. And with that, we bid you good night.